Hello and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 3 and Black Ice version 11.3.5 and the Germany campaign. And where we left off, we were invading the Soviet Union and we are continuing that endeavour. Now, what I would say is this has been a pretty challenging Soviet Union campaign, and the reason why I've not kind of shown this step by step and month by month is because I have done Soviet Union campaign invasions, well, a lot. I've done them a lot over the years. And I don't think I need to continuously go over kind of the step-by-step for this. But what's interesting about this particular campaign, and I want to give like a little bit of a rundown of this as I'm kind of discussing it, is... I mean, I think the Soviets have been buffed in these later versions somewhat. And they were... I think the Union was in need of some buffing. I think... The only thing I would say is I think some of the terrain modifiers for marshes seem a lot more difficult than they have been in the past. And the fact that I didn't bring my strength units up until, well, very recently, I think is strange how much of an issue it's having, and my units seem to be shattering more than they normally would. Now, I don't know if that's something with my unit composition. It's strange to me because I've never had this level of kind of problem with it previously. So I think part of it is changes, and I think part of it is just I need to have a little look at some of my unit setups, and you know, kind of I'm thinking about like other campaigns now. So I'm kind of like one day in the future thinking about that. But I just think it's very interesting that, you know, it's been kind of this tough against the Soviets. I haven't struggled like this in quite a long time. And I have played some test games, like as Germany, fairly recently. And I've had, like, similar issues. So, you know, I think... Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering if it's a problem with me and my playstyle and not adapting to kind of some of the more recent changes. Or... as I say, maybe the dial has shifted too far, because the thing is with me is I don't necessarily enjoy what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to think about this in what I'm trying to say. I don't enjoy kind of min-maxing units. I don't want to, you know, really micromanage everything down to like the I like micromanagement, otherwise I wouldn't be playing this game. But there is a line. I feel like a composition kind of along these kinds of lines. So I feel like something like this, kind of in the early, you know, like the mid game, right? So if we do something like this, maybe with, I don't know, like a motorized support, and we chuck in, you know, if it's an earlier game, we chuck in that one, and I don't know, probably an anti-tank quite role. So, like, something like this, I feel like should be a unit that doesn't break and shatter, just in normal combat scenarios. And I'm having units like this shatter on me, which is, I've not seen that before. That's not what has happened in kind of previous campaigns. Now, I assume that, you know, if I was to make them kind of with two unit groups, the chances of them shattering would decrease massively, because I'm going from, you know, kind of 8k or so. I'm going from an attachment, where is the bloody attachments? Yeah, so I'm going from 5k to 8k, which doesn't seem like a huge difference, but it's another free manpower. And it's another free manpower on 20 divisions, which would be another 60 manpower out of this pool here. And manpower in this game is kind of your most limiting resource nowadays. Like, you can survive. I mean, right now I'm completely stuffed on raw materials, but you can survive with one thing in the red and everything else kind of moderately okay. You can easily handle that. But if you know, manpower is, as I say, the most kind of limiting factor on what you can do with like your size of your army. And I'm not being funny. This is not the largest like German army I've ever done. Like, I went significantly more into like ships in this campaign, and we'll talk about that in a minute, because this episode's gonna kind of, well, the start of this episode is gonna function as like a little bit of a run through of some of my thoughts and things, because I have been playing on an older version, and this campaign, when you guys are going to be seeing this, it will be all pre-recorded. And part of that is to help me with kind of the production schedule, because I'm so busy at work all the time at the moment. But there are questions I have around the balance at the moment of a few things. Now, the other thing as well is, air-wise, I've built what I thought was a relatively substantial air force. Was nowhere near good enough for the Soviets this time around. They have been bombing my units, and I think that's part of the reason why shattering's become such a problem, is I am getting my ass bombed like no one's business. Now, the follow-up to that is I've never pretended to be great at this. Like, I'm fine at this game, and I would say my strength lies in kind of tactical awareness, sometimes more than kind of individual micromanagement. But I do want kind of a nice mixture between the two, and I feel like you should be able, just with kind of good maneuvering, to make up for losses. Now, we completed some really massive encirclements. I had a quick look at some of the concentrations I got, and I took out about 2-3 million men in the opening of this war, and the Soviets are still there, which is how it should be. But 3 million men, and for them to bounce back as quickly as they did, is kind of ridiculous. And I feel like the marshlands this time have been an absolute nightmare to crawl through. I don't know what's gone on with supply and like some of my units and things, but like this combat here, for example, I am throwing, so I'm throwing the better part of this many units against this division here. Now, this is a no commander infantry unit in marshland, okay, and it's got an envelopment penalty of only 12%. So my terrain negative on here is 73%. So my units, with the night modifier on it as well and things, my units are doing precisely F all because of this terrain. Now, fighting in marshes should be difficult, but I'm fighting one unit with about 200,000 troops, and yet I can't make any progress against one single division. Now, as I say, this is all just feedback. I just think this is a bit stupid. Like, you're not telling me in real life, if you had this amount of force applied against one single division, like, we're going to win. Like, I just want to be clear. So if I put time forwards just quickly for a little bit. So we're at 20.5. Well, a little province lost. Is that over here? No, it's not. There's like a little breakthrough here, but I'm sending some units to go clean that up. But we've lost 0.1 organization. So one division is holding off all of this. All of this here. Now, these aren't, necessarily my best units. I do want to throw that out there. But, like, that just seems a little bit odd to me. Now, I think part of that problem is this Blitzkrieg doctrine here. Now, personally, I don't think I've ever really given much of thought on doctrines. I always think that Grand Battle is just naturally the best. And the reason why I think Grand Battle is naturally the best is you get quite a bit of kind of these things here, which provide you like general kind of strategic level bonuses. You've then got like some of these that help with like your bog standard units, which is your artillery and your infantry. And the more that you power up those, they're the backbone of your army, so therefore they're going to provide kind of the best. And you can get some really sizable bonuses here, and your units can start attacking very quickly. So this one is a good kind of a nice generalist build for the countries that get it. So like I think Japan has this, Britain has this. Like this one's quite good. Superior firepower is quite good as well, because you just get general bonuses. So you've got bonuses kind of throughout the entire tree. Okay? So you've got all bonuses. You've got all bonuses. Deep Battle. Now, Deep Battle is, I would say... So if I was to rank them, I'd say Grand Battle's the best. Superior Firepower that the Americans get is second best. Deep Battle is then probably the third best, and the reason why this is kind of third best is there are some techs in here that don't do anything, but all the ones that are kind of under it have all got very strong bonuses. So this tech tree has got some useless ones, with, you know, just purely because they just function as gatekeeps effectively on doing some of these. But you get some really fun kind of bonuses and things later on down the tree. Now, the difference between kind of Blitzkrieg and these is there's no malices on these, whereas on Blitzkrieg there are malices. And they're not just small malices, they're actually quite large malices. Now, you know, like, plains and urban attack plus is good, because if you look at your map, the majority of where you're going to be fighting is either deserts, plains, or urban areas. Like, that's kind of the majority of what we see here. But you then combine that with the fact, though, that you're going to be attacking in probably woods. You know, there's a fair amount of marsh in the Soviet Union. Like, those are some, like, really bad modifiers, especially on marsh. So, you know, I know it mainly impacts armor, but you want your armor as the kind of Germans to be your best kind of, you know, your best asset. And lowering everything kind of equally, like this is doing, personally, I don't think this, you know, if all the others are all only positives, why is Blitzkrieg hamstrung with large amounts of negatives? Like the fuel consumption. Like, I understand that, you know, the bonuses you get on here, like some of these, like this one, bloody good on toughness. Like, these are really good. It's maybe you want to do some light infantry, just because you get some fun bonuses on those specifically. But why does this not apply to infantry as well? Like, if we're going to do this, like, why is it only light infantry that get this bonus? That just seems like an oversight. And then, you know, we get some good things here, but these bonuses down here, for example, like this ground attack efficiency plus 9%, that's nothing to write home about. Like, that's pretty average. This is, you know, a CAS organization of +4. It's almost not worth doing these. Like, they don't add enough to make them worthwhile when you can get a 40% air superiority efficiency there, and you can get a interdiction efficiency of 64 there, and a 32% ground attack efficiency there, and this one grants you +40. You know, doing this doesn't seem like it adds much, personally. So, yeah, what I would say is this is quite enjoyable, in the sense that I'm quite liking the kind of difficulty challenge, and I'm probably going to have to stop. In fact, we just got beaten back here, which isn't very good. But what I think is it's just maybe a little bit too kind of strange that we'd be this kind of hamstrung. So yeah, I don't know, as I say, if there's some balancing that needs to happen. Like, I was going to talk about submarines. So submarines, they are always in a funny place, because sometimes they're massively overpowered, and sometimes they're not. Right now, they seem massively overpowered. We've launched kind of a whole submarine campaign, and the Brits are fucked. I've well and truly fucked them. In fact, one of the most fun things that I've done in this campaign is just look at the United Axis nations here. Like, 52% of the world now falls under Axis control, you know, via kind of diplomatic means, which just is astounding. Now, I'm slowly getting some other nations in as well. Finland, for some reason, has just been so slow at joining us, and Sweden as well. Like, they're now National Socialists, so they are moving their way towards us. But Finland should always be joining. Like, I don't get that. That's the one mechanic that I don't really understand with Finland, is they, like, you can't have it like, you know. And again, I'm not going to complain about this, but I'm just going to say, if you want it to be historical, which is what often I think the development of this looks like, is they want it to be 90% historical, then Finland should join the Axis after the Winter War. you know, if they've lost kind of land, because they'll be looking diplomatically for defense against the Soviets, and who you're going to sign up with, either the Allies or you know, Germany. Now, historically, Finland sought support from Germany, you know, in this period of the war, so they should be covered by that. So yeah, I find that a bit frustrating, but the fact that I'm able to get so many nations to join the Axis has been quite interesting. I've quite enjoyed kind of the diplomatic side of things, and the painting of South America in Axis colours has been quite funny to kind of to pursue. Japan has just declared war on the United States as well, so they'll be getting involved. Now, I mean, they finished China quite early in the campaign. Siam joined the Axis a little bit early as well, so I am assuming... I don't think Siam's in the war yet. No. And I am tempted to keep them out of it, because if Japan concentrates its forces on naval landings and takes Hawaii, then that actually stands them in quite good stead, to be honest with you. So yeah, part of me is intrigued, I must say, about the thought of them kind of doing that as a function for a change. Although it's owned by us, so they did take that one, which is... Is it owned by the Americans? Did the Americans take that? Well, they did. 0.8. So they're already struggling. You might hear my washing machine going, by the way. Like, I'm sorry if that's picked up on the recording. I'm doing my best to avoid it. But yeah, I think once we get Afghanistan and Finland in, that'll be helpful. I'm loving having Turkey in the Axis. I think this has been this has been very enjoyable to do the whole Middle East. Now I'm out of supply down here. Like I'm completely out of supply. But it's quite funny to kind of, you know, handle that. Now, the only other thing as well is I've built some Fortress Buster units in this particular episode, like in this campaign, and I can't break down Gibraltar. Like, it is not possible for me to take this province. And again, I'm not really sure. Like, if I look at kind of... Look, I mean, the light infantry probably, you know, they were just kind of a relatively cheapo investment unit trying to find a good example of, like... Where's a good example of, like... Have I got one over here? Where the hell has the heavy armor ones gone? There's a few of them. Right, yeah. So, like here, for example. Now, this unit has got an elite light infantry element. It's got a mixed support just to provide some extras. It's got railway artillery. It's got heavy armor, okay? And yet, it can't bust this. Like, now, I'm prepared to admit some of this might be my divisional composition. But in earlier versions, I've been able to bust through certain forts and certain things like that. This doesn't, you know... Like, I get we're constantly changing and rebalancing things, but I can't really understand it. If I've got 10 like units of heavier kind of backed divisions, they should, in theory, be able to kind of handle this. Like, that should be their bread and butter. So the fact that it's not is a little bit strange to me. Now, I'm not producing anything at the moment because I'm purposely going out of my way to hold things in place. But on submarines, I think they've kind of... The dial has swung on them, you know. It's either that or I'm just dealing with a really poor British AI, which it might be that. But I've been able to absolutely wreck the British merchant marine. Now, I couldn't land. I tried landing, like, on here. And, yeah, territorial pride, you know... Territorial pride in the Soviet Union, territorial pride in the UK. Yeah, whatever. I mean, honestly... You know, it's just not... It's not functioned particularly well, let's put it that way. So, yeah, I have... You know, I've got this amount of units that are all shattering. Now, I'm prepared to admit that some of it might be air power. You know, I think that's part of the cause of this, but I don't think I should be having this level of breakdown of my units just from air support. Now, I am micromanaging my air force more than I normally do. I want to throw that out there. But as you can see, it's getting absolutely wrecked. You know, like, my air units are taking an absolute battering themselves. So, do I need to just do more in air force? You know? But I don't want to just play in one way. You know, that's what I keep coming back to. Is I don't want it to be a situation where there's one way of playing to succeed. That's not fun, you know, in my humble opinion. And we're trying at the moment. We're getting we're trying to break through up here, and I've run into what feels like the entire Soviet army. Like, yeah. Now, units-wise, we've completely had it. So, which is quite funny. You know, I quite like that. You know, it's an interesting one. Our tank spearheads, though, have nearly managed to break on through, which is kind of fun. In fact, I'm not actually going to do that. I think I'm going to move down a little bit, and then, yeah, let's... I'm trying to break through to save my my little tiny thingy division down there, because it's struggling a little bit in that part of the world. And I'm also trying to break through over here as well, because we've got an opportunity to push out now. I did make a little bit of progress, but yeah, I'm waiting on kind of... I mean, it'd be great if Iraq would send some units north. Or even to help over here, to be honest with you. Although, it does look like Iran's actually making a little bit of headway over there, which is quite fun. But, yeah, it's just... As I say, I think some of it is just learning curve. Like, I think, you know, I've got to relearn... Oh, yeah, that was the other thing. The Brits have invaded Norway, but, I mean, they're going to be up there forever, I think, is the long and short of that. But, yeah, I'm a bit... I don't know. I just think this is a bit stupid. Like, if I had an opinion, I just think some of the ways at which this is being reviewed... Ooh. That's not so good. That's not good at all. We're going to have to launch an immediate counterattack there. And I think... Yeah, so... That was on me, that one. Like, ooh, baby. But, you know, like, they're attacking over a river, okay, at the moment. So, this is an over-river attack, okay, into my units that get bonuses on planes, okay, yet they're outperforming my tank divisions. And they're outperforming them because they're getting a 68% territorial pride benefit. Now, has the territorial pride benefit always been that high, or am I missing something? Because these are some of the best kind of units that I've got, right? This division composition has really high armor. It's got a variety of different combined arms, okay? Tell me how I can make that a more well-rounded unit than it is right now. Like, that is... My techs are up to date. Okay? So we're actually ahead of time on a majority of these. Okay? I'm up to date on my Blitzkrieg stuff. And I'm also up to date on my armor as well. And my anti-tank. In fact, I'm doing the 42 level ones. So, you know... So all of my techs are all up to date and at the right level, okay? Yet, this unit here, the 2nd Panzer Division should be one of the more strong units in my arsenal, okay? Like, it's an armoured unit, okay? It's got, yeah, the artillery's not great, but, like, it's got an armoured engineer, it's got, you know, a tank destroyer, it's got stats, okay, like a soft attack of 32, a hard attack of 35. Like, this is a 32 piercing and 29 armor. That is a strong division. Yet, it's being attacked by... Yeah, the mechanized unit is strong. But it's being attacked... It's parity with a ski division. And a standard Soviet infantry unit. Like, that's not how it is. Like, or how it has been. You know, so, I'm a little bit confused, that's all. It's very strange. We might be able to break this one through, actually, to be honest with you, because, yeah, we're struggling a little bit on the edges, actually, on the flanks. But... yeah, so, I mean, that Romanian division, yeah, I don't expect much from it, but why, what's driving that percentage? That attack modifier that's currently set to 118.50, why is that so low? Like, yeah, some of it's that night modifier, but... I don't know. I don't know. As I say, I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong there. Like, I'm just building my normal setups is what I'm trying to say. And if I have to build all my units to be like this... So if every single division has to be... Like, every single infantry has to be like what I'm about to show you... Right, so if everything has to be built like this... Okay, I don't know. Transport unit. I don't know, German light vehicle gets some bonuses, I think. So, assault gun. I don't know what's another good one to kind of throw in. Like, assault gun, like... If everything needs to be built kind of... If every unit needs to have, like, a tank support element in it, where's the fun in that? You know? Like, you know, I don't want to just build copy and paste units that are all the same. I just don't think there's much enjoyment in that. Personally. You know, I would rather that you had a nice mix. So, yeah, I'm trying to think of what else to chuck in here, like, I don't know, an engineer, right? So, if my infantry divisions need to look like that, okay, and I just make a wall of like, just copy and paste units that you know, just do nothing but min-max stats, that's not enjoyable, you know, like, and I don't want to spend time just, you know, all of the German infantry units that you get. If you get units via events, okay, and those units aren't worth keeping as units as they are straight out of the box from events, what's the point in having them? Like, if you're just getting units, like, you know, to then build stuff, that just doesn't seem like it really adds much. You know, to me at least. You know, it's just my opinion. Oh, we could. Yeah, I didn't think about that. We have got some forces here that we can... And we just lost the 2nd Panzer Division. Ah, no, it did reform. So, happy days. Just shattered. you know, a conscript unit. Okay, so this Platariat division here, that unit is performing better than the Lur Brigade. And I'm just attacking into planes. So, my one thing I should be good at, as a, like, you know, I'm sure weather's having a part to play in this, because it's not exactly the best time to launch offensives and things. But, you know, why is it that the Lur Brigade and this Panzer Division, like, this is just meant to be militia. People just drafted out of, like, cities at last minute with no weapons. Yet, this has got a defend modifier of 233, and I've got an attack modifier of 38. Now, I never pay too much heed to these percentages, okay? But I'm just wondering, with a piercing attack of 0, how my organization of this unit... Like, so if I try to demonstrate this point. So, how's my organization dropping? Okay, so yeah, that's because we've now got this semi-motorized unit that's, like, in position. So, yeah, it's not crazy. Okay. Good, good, good. And we just lost a battle there. We're gonna need to... Yeah, so, like... So that... We are losing that battle there. Like, well and truly. And I'm about to get enclosed in here, but... Let's just concentrate on the important thing here. But here's a prime example. Right. So this is a forest. Okay? I am attacking with all of these units here. We can keep them locked down on there, actually. And so I'm attacking with 3 motorized infantry divisions and the 11th Panzer. I've got a Romanian infantry unit here, and I've got some additional kind of supports here. I'm attacking what is essentially like conscripts. Okay? They've got an envelopment penalty of only 12%. Okay? With a level 3 commander against my level 5 commander. I've got a modifier of 134, and they've got a modifier of 555. Am I missing something? You know, I mean, I'm happy if I am missing something. I would rather be corrected and told that I'm a moron than, as I say, not, you know, because what I'm looking at the moment, I just don't get it. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. You know, my peak tank units can't beat conscripts that might have 1 gun between them. Now, I know functionally that isn't how they function. I'm being facetious with that comment. But just the balance doesn't seem quite as it should be. Okay. So Lebensstarter died. Okay. And I did... Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that one was on me. But what I mean is that's what it's looked like so far in the campaign. That's been the tale of this particular time I've done it. And I'm just saying, it doesn't seem like my build is massively dissimilar from what I've done in the past. Like, you know, I think my Germany build could be a little bit more, like, a tiny bit more kind of well-rounded is what I would say. But I wouldn't say it's the worst Germany build I've ever done. Like, you know, but yeah, the AI is absolutely wrecking me from a manpower perspective. Like, I'm getting pushed back in 41. Like, am I... Yeah, as I say, it's strange. It's weird. Okay, let's hold off there. Right, so we did finally break through the bloody swamplands around here. Okay, so anyway, I've been playing it off camera because it's more enjoyable to play the game like with something on in the background when I'm kind of pushing kind of back and forth like this. You know, it's far less enjoyable to kind of narrate when you've got certain things that maybe aren't annoying you, but like you're just like looking at them thinking this just doesn't make a lot of sense. And what I'm worried about is this is like pre-winter offensive. So it's very, very worrying. Okay. We've got another shadow. So, you know, Geir von Schweppenberg is going to eventually win this battle at some point in the near future. You know, well, you know what they say, you can never rely on the Romanians on the flanks, can you? Right, so we're going to need to now break out of here. I think we're going to need to like form up a spearhead to push on through. You know, and now I've got random tank units. Look, you know, they were surrounded. Okay. You know, these divisions are surrounded, cut off from supply. Make it make sense. Because I'm not getting any sort of sense out of it. You know. But yeah, if anyone spotted something that I've done, you know, chronically wrong with my setup for Germany this time around, then I would be very interested to hear what it is, because, you know, I think this was one of the more well-rounded German armies that I've actually made. I built more tanks. I mean, I have defeated the Soviet Union with less than this. Like, you know, and if the rebalancing that's happened recently is to, this is what we want to play like, if I have to make divisions that are just the same unit, copy and pasted again and again, and a tank and infantry template, and that's it, I'm bored. I don't want to do that. Sorry, guys. You know, I know OMG's got a Germany campaign at the moment going on, so I'm gonna actually have a little look at like some of what he's doing at the moment, and what his composition looks like, because it'd just be interesting to see, you know, what some of the division looks like, you know, some of the comps, because, you know, I've played some games with them, and, you know, it's quite fun playing with them, but, you know, I don't want the game to be tailored in such a way that it just functions for one playstyle. I don't get much enjoyment out of that if I was to provide feedback. I think, you know, it's already a difficult game for the average person. Just making it difficult to the point where, you know, kind of, you you're really hamstringing the people that can get into it if you're, you know, kind of taking it away from even kind of people that, like me, that have got, not being funny, quite a lot of hours logged in this game, understand the mechanics pretty well on a fundamental level, and yet I can't beat the Soviets, and it's 41 and I'm getting pushed back and shattering units, like with division compositions that have worked previously, you know, and your bog standard SS units, like, you know, these are meant to be your strongest. Like, yeah, this could do with being reorganized. I don't deny that. But, okay, make it a decent unit out of the box. You know? You've paid an IC investment, why should I then go and make more units to make it work well? Oh, shit. Yeah, that's a problem as well over there. So, yeah, I'm going to call it an episode here. As I say, I might go away and just have a little watch of some of, like... The thing is, I've got some, like, saves earlier on. I could go back and kind of do a few extra things, but... It's quite fun watching me get my ass kicked, I imagine. But it's not very fun to play it, guys. Like, I'm just going to throw that out there that... When you just have units constantly shattering, I don't mind losing battles. That's fine. But having half of my army break every minute ain't fun. It ain't fun. Let me tell you. You know. And I can't see a good reason, you know, why this is happening. You know, some of these are on me, you know, because I'm talking, like, probably more than I should be. Because, as you can tell, I'm a bit confused, more than anything. Like, I don't really understand, like, I think it's air power. I really do. Like, but the thing is, right, is I think the Soviet Union starts the game with something like over 150 planes, maybe even 200. So, like... Between then and 44, they can then build up. Whereas as Germany, you start with 50. Now, your planes are going to be better. But, you know, if you buff kind of planes generally across the board, right? And you make them better at ground functions. And you then make that modify... Like, what I'm trying to say is quantity in air power is always going to be better than quality. It's the same problem that you have with ships. A Doom stack is always going to function better than a non-Doom stacked kind of like Britain. So when I play Britain, I like to make little, you know, 10, you know, task forces made up of like 10 ships. And then one of the fun things playing Britain is micromanaging your navy and moving it into position to try and, you know, you've seen me play the UK before. And a large part of that is me kind of moving my units into position, kind of dotted around and you know, trying to annihilate the German Navy by like 1940, right? Annihilate the German Navy. Then pivot and annihilate the Italian Navy. Then pivot and annihilate the Japanese Navy. And like so on. And that's really fun. Like there's some fun gameplay in that. It's a similar thing for air forces if you buff them, because the aim of the game will be to like use your air force to neutralize the enemy. My planes seem to be taking they were taking massive amounts of damage in the invasion of France, like massive amounts. So do I just need to build more air power? And I'm gonna probably assume the answer to that question is probably yes. I do just need to build more air power and use it more than I have in previous versions. If that's the case, then that's fine. I kind of agree with that. But when you've got a nation that starts out with a 3 or 4 times head start on you plane-wise, you know, against France, it's quite equal. And against Britain, like, taken together, they've got more than you, but, like, it's a relatively equal footing. The amount of damage that these are doing to my units, you know, and I've tried putting up my own fire support, but as you can see, my planes are fucked now. Like, you know, it's just too many. So, does that point towards needing to do kind of probably more. You know, I think there's some playstyle things on my end, is what I'm trying to say, as well as some things with the way the game is structured at the moment that I don't necessarily think are that great. I think there's like a combination kind of the two at play here. There's some mistakes that I've made, which I will take credit for. I think, you know, the last couple of versions, I've kind of noticed some shifts in the way that we do things in the game. But equally, you know, 1 year's worth of tech advantage doesn't make up for 2 times the amount of planes. You know? Like, Germany is probably going to have broadly better tech, but with the AI getting the bonuses that it does, that mitigates that somewhat. It's an interesting conundrum, because how do you balance the AI? Because the AI isn't great. Like, if you need to give the AI bonuses for it to function well. Equally, though, we don't want it to be in a situation like this, in this one that I'm doing, where it doesn't feel fair. You know? And as I say, I think part of it is the fact that this tech tree has malices. You know, it has things like, you know, so if you do your tank crew training, you get fuel consumption increases. Now that makes sense to a point, but can you explain to me, if you train your tank crew better, why they use more fuel? Can you like, I can't square that in my head. And then there's this like Kampfgruppe one. Now, you don't get Kampfgruppe in the game. You can't build. I don't think you can build. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. As far as I'm aware, you can't build combined arms groups. As Germany, I think you should. I think Germany should be able to build combined arms groups. Now, I might be bang wrong there. You know, maybe you can build, you know, combined arms groups as Germany, and it's a tech in here that I just not seen. But, you know, this one has got a date on it of 1940 with a toughness level of 8 for a tech which is pretty much useless. Whereas in Grand Battle, you can start doing your, you know, for example, you can do artillery flexibility from like 36, and attritional warfare from 36, and that just gives you 5.7 on infantry. So inherently, that's better than this, because you don't get any units out of this. We'll forget that, by the way, that's spelled wrong. But do you see what I'm trying to say? Like, hopefully, this kind of makes sense. You know, like, I think there's some work to be done on Germany. You know, and I don't think it's all me. At least I hope it's not all me. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just shit now. But, you know, this doesn't seem... honestly, like, I know I've ranted now for like an hour about this, and the game's barely moved on. I've done like a, you know, like a random video on this, but I would be interested to hear from some of you guys. Like, I think the problem is a lot of you guys... I mean, I could be really wrong on this, but I think a lot of you don't necessarily play the game. You watch me play it. Which, I'm happy about that. I want you guys to watch me. I love the fact that you watch the channel. Like, but I'm just wondering, like, from the player base now, I'm speaking directly to people that play the game. Maybe they got more experience than me. All your comments and your critiques and your help is always appreciated by me. Have I done something drastically wrong here? You know, because I want to be able to play the game and have a bit of fun with it. I want to do what I've done here, where I've, you know, like, got a load of like extra nations into the Axis, and like this is fun to me, doing something a little bit different, like, you know, sending an expeditionary force to Brazil and kind of, you know, doing an attack down there, and you know, that's all really fun, and sending ships over here and then doing some convoy raiding things and that kind of stuff, and seeing Italy doing this is fun. What's not fun is this at the moment, where it does not seem justified, you know, personally. But hey, you know, as I say, I could be wrong, but I just don't understand how, you know, that mountain unit has 34 piercing attack, and my tank unit with full brigades, I guess that is It's not really a great comparison. It's one of the foreign kind of units. But I guess there's like a light tank armored unit in there as well. And a tank... Right, so it's got a tank destroyer as well. So my... Where is it? So my piercing attack is 32 from that division unit there. So that mountain unit, I don't know what's in the composition of it. You know, I'm assuming it's probably got one of those anti-tank brigades. But it's got a better anti-tank value than my units. So either they're better on tech than me, which I don't think they are, because I think I've checked to see where their tech's at. So I've got like nearly the full kind of suite here of tech. So I'm up to date. Yet my units have got a lower piercing attack than the mountain unit and the tank division. I mean, I'm scratching my head, guys. I'm scratching it. It doesn't make sense. You know, and I'm prepared to admit it's probably me. But I still don't think it makes sense. You know, like, what's this one here? Yeah, what's your piercing attack like? So you got a piercing attack as well. So just in general, right? How can that have a better piercing than that? Just you know, I don't know. It's all strange to me, guys. It's all Russian. Anyway, I'm gonna call it an episode there. I'm gonna go away and have a little watch of like some of OMG's videos, and just get a feel for kind of if I'm missing something. Like, what am I missing? You know, like, because I feel like you know, I'm doing something wrong here, but I don't feel like this is, you know, the tactics that I'm using that have worked previously are massively different to what I've done in the past. So that's where my confusion's coming in. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Hearts of Iron 3. I don't know if I want to kind of just call it here, you know, because I'm not gonna win this. Like, what it means, I'm out of manpower. Like, I'm in a manpower deficit now, so there is no functional way that I can win this. You know, I will get a manpower boost from the 16-year-old boys event, which will obviously make a massive difference. But yeah, I don't know a reasonable way of winning this campaign at this point. Like, you know, yeah, I could go back and maybe give a go to, like, you know, kind of doing like a rerun of it. Maybe it's an interesting dilemma. Like, because part of me does want to kind of continue with this, because as much as it gets frustrating kind of just being beaten back all the time, it is also quite an enjoyable kind of NSEG type scenario that I've kind of inadvertently made here, while somehow having the greatest international United Nations I've ever been through. So maybe there's something in that, but I don't know if I'm just getting old. You know, and old and ornery in my old age, you know. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you all have a really good day, and I look forward to seeing the next episode of Hearts of Iron 3, whenever that may be and however it might be formed. Anyway, catch you soon. Bye-bye.